I became a therapist, I would never mention or teach people to meditate. We were trained to have very strong parameters around the therapy sessions. And it wasn't until many years later, a woman with tremendous anxiety, and she found out that I was a meditation teacher, a young one, but still. And she got furious with me. And she said, "How could you have withheld such a valuable resource from me when I was struggling with such anxiety? And this meditation has helped me so much. And you're one of the teachers of it." And that was a turning point for me, Diana, when I realized, wait a minute, these boundaries and parameters need to be more flexible and attuned.
Well, it's something that actually I grapple with, and maybe you can help me with this because you've left being a therapist to put all of your energy and resources now into not only you being a meditation teacher, but fostering, the teaching of meditation and mindfulness to many through Inside LA meditation. And it's just this tremendous resource available to people. And I want to thank you for that, especially during COVID when people needed a place to go. Inside LA was a place to go while you are locked up inside and you needed community. And you also do an incredible job in the arena of social justice. So I can sing your praises for hours in terms of what you've given and the service you've given. But I grapple with that for myself because I wear all these hats. And I do feel like, sometimes I'm in the teaching, podcasting, not therapy world. And I'm hope that if my clients were listening, they'd feel okay about me because there's also something about that one-on-one relationship with your therapist. You don't want to hear about, their relationship with their spouse or their kids. And then likewise, when I'm in the therapy room, I feel like I have all these resources from my work in spirituality or meditation or yoga that I do want to offer my clients. That you feel kind of like you're living a little bit of a double life sometimes, and I want to be more integrated in all the places where I show up. It's hard.
Yeah, and I think you really can be. The reason that I stopped doing psychotherapy was just really, for the most part, a practical one because I moved to California and I couldn't get licensed there without doing all my hours all over again. It wasn't really that I turned my back or felt that meditation was more valuable than psychotherapy at
Mm.
all. I really believe in the powerful synergy of practicing both. And I think what you bring to your clients, which is just priceless, really, is the fact that you do know both of these worlds and you are in a position to encourage them when it feels right to begin having a meditation practice. I mean, therapy is about learning how to be more aware in your life. There's so much overlap between the two. There really is. I mean, learning to perceive the patterns, um, the conditioned patterns from which you operate, that those are really important skills in both disciplines, right? It's just that meditation also addresses a dimension of our psyches that the psychotherapy world doesn't address, which has to do with what I would call the spiritual or the numinous, or the opening of the heart to reverence and the explicit cultivation of states of love and compassion and joy and equanimity, right? And therapy also addresses aspects that meditation doesn't. And we have to refer meditators who are trying to find all forms of healing out of their meditation practice, say, no, wounds that happen in relationship need to be healed in relationship. You need some therapy. So I don't know, I guess I always liked the set theory, so it's like these overlapping, each has its own sphere, but there's so much area of overlap. You can do very simple grounding practices for
Mhm.
5 minutes or something at the beginning of a session with people, and that actually helps them. It helps them connect with their hearts. You know how it is when people will come in and almost as a defense against some of the painful, vulnerable emotions, will just start reporting to you what happened during the week or the day, and you want them to drop underneath that discursive reporting because it really is a way of separating from the emotional reality and the vulnerability of that they may actually be feeling and sensing, but not wanting to because it's painful, right?
Yeah. And I feel like the course of therapy goes so differently when I take I guess it's a little bit it's a twinge of courage, I think, as a therapist to do something that's unexpected than just come in and start talking and to say, let's just pause for a moment and feel our feet on the ground and let's notice sort of the speed of our thoughts or the speed of our breath. Maybe just notice the tension in our body and get here and take that time at the beginning of the session. And then hopefully, I think what we're coaching people to do is to do that when they enter into their workplace or when they enter into a conversation with their partner. And it's all these like sort of micro practices that you do in the therapy room with your therapist that then you apply in your life, hopefully. And meditation and what you teach is a much deeper dive. It's the hour-long intensive or the half an hour-long intensive of that little taste of the tasting. And I'm curious about how your teaching of meditation or of awareness has evolved over time. And of course, I have to ask you about Jack Cornfield because who doesn't think about the two of you as a pair? And your pairing is later in life too. It wasn't in your 20s that this happens. Of course, we're also curious about that. Yeah, well, how has your approach to meditation and awareness evolved since those early days? And then also, what role has Jack played in all of that?
So Jack was a teacher that I sat with in the 70s. We've known each other since we were in our 20s. We even flirted with each other then because we were
Cute.
both single.
Cute.
In fact, he came over once and he he doesn't remember this, but I remember it vividly. He walked into my apartment and right in the front room there were like guinea pig cages. I mean, I lived alone with my daughter at that point. So there were toys, there was just her stuff, right? And I just remember him taking in the guinea pigs, the big pictures of her on the wall, and I could almost feel him withdrawing. It's like, I'm not ready for this. But so he was a teacher of mine in those days, along with Joseph and Sharon and some other Vipassana teachers. But I was practicing Zen at the same time. I had ordained as a lay Zen Buddhist first in 1974, actually side by side with John Kabat-Zinn,
Mm,
and we, and that was actually my home path that I loved the most. But I did reconnect with Jack later on when I moved to California because he started calling me and asking me if I wanted to be in his teacher training. And
mm.
I said, I was so rude. I said to him, well, sure, if I can co teach it with you, I'm already a teacher.
Yeah, you're going for the gold, that's right. Yeah.
And I wanted to join the group because I needed to learn how. I didn't want to continue teaching Zen. I felt that
Mhm.
the Vipassana world and the insight meditation teachers, there were more of them who were psychotherapists. I felt that they bridged the disciplines a little bit better. There was just more flexibility in the insight
Yeah,
meditation tradition in general. This is generalizations than in the
yeah.
Zen world in
You can
general.
move your body a little bit more in insight meditator than in Zen. Yeah,
So yeah,
you
so
can readjust.
when I was teaching Zen, I was hardcore.
Yeah,
We were hardcore. We were loving to our students, but the practices and how we taught them, it was intense. And when I began to teach insight meditation, I brought some of that intensity at first. I mean, I can't believe it now, but people would say things like, I hit a wall with my loving kindness practice, and I would just say, keep going. I mean, now I would talk with them, I would support them, I would say back away from it, try something different for a while, come back to it. I just have so much of a gentler and I feel actually more integrated with my therapy skills approach. As somebody at this stage of life in this age, I'm constantly learning, Diana, and I'm learning to change the way I teach and the language that I use in the light of what we are now learning about social justice and racism. And to me, this is all fascinating, painful, but fascinating because it's helping me uncover biases that I didn't know and that are encoded in the language we use as teachers. I don't know, it's like this present that you just keep opening and there's more and more inside, in terms of what's possible to learn as a teacher.